Um, hey guys, I got a video request, and I haven't gotten one of those in a while, so I haven't done a video in a while. But then I got one, so now I guess I'll do one. Um, the topics I was recommended to speak about were change, progression, mainstream, and autumn. So the first one, change. Change is an interesting thing. I think people, for the most part, push it away. Veto the idea because we cling to what's familiar. But from every ending comes a new beginning, and I recognize that to be really cliche. So upon hearing it, you probably won't listen. But it really is an important thing because that's how things progress. That's how things move on. That's how you get to new levels of knowledge. That's how you learn. That's how you change. That's how you expand. That's how you develop. That's how you grow. Change is completely essential to continuing on with part of your life. Even things that feel like a bad change, you still benefit from, if for no other reason, because you can channel pain into something great, like art or writing, any kind of creation. Because any deep emotion gives you fuel to put something forward. Um, and I heard a quote by hold on, let me ask my pocket notebook. Randy Posh said that experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. So, in the midst of change, even if it isn't going in the direction that you want or that you expected or that you think will be beneficial to you, you're still getting experience. You're still living, which is, living is the most important part of living. And, good things come and bad things come. You can't necessarily expect only good things to come. And even when change feels like a bad thing, it is an essential thing. Um, So yeah, change is essential. I think often we push it away because again we cling to the familiar. But my freshman year, there was this girl a year ahead of me, who who I was convinced I was in love with. She was my best friend, and she, I don't know if she was like mentally ill or whatever it was, but she ended up just totally splitting, disconnecting her phone, not going to school anymore. Like, she isolated herself from everybody, family, friends. And, like, she was my best friend, and one day she was just gone, and I had no idea what happened. I couldn't contact her, and she was gone for months and months. I was devastated. And she came back, and she was like, hey, like, I'm sorry, but, you still love me, right? And I was kind of like, yeah. So things continued as they were, and after a few months, she did it again. And it really started to rattle me. And to this day, I have intimacy issues a little bit, relying on people and really believing the things that somebody says when they say, I'll be around, things like that. I think there are two people I sincerely believe myself to have like a real connection with, at all. But even that change, the change of having this friend and losing this friend, gave me, an idea as to how rapidly things can shift. And you know, the only constant is change. It's forever. You can't stop it. You can only, learn from it and grow with it. Develop. And which actually leads into progression, because as things change, things progress, which is enormously important. Progression, I think, it can be good and bad. If it moves at an irrational pace. For example, take technological progress. Um, Cell phones started coming out, what, 20 years ago, and now they went from these bricks to these smaller things that didn't need antennas, and then from smaller things to smaller and flatter things, and then they needed less time to charge, and then they started to have cameras. Text messaging became a feature, and now we're at a point where we have touchscreens, and all of these things, all of these pretty major changes have happened in such a small span of time. Technological progress is moving at such an advanced rate that I don't think we can even keep up with it. Any technology that you can buy in like a Sears or a Best Buy store, Radio Shack, Brookstone, wherever, is already obsolete by 7 years. And I think the rate with which we're consuming is dangerous because we're doing it irresponsibly in such a way that it's going to come to a halt, or that it's going to start to challenge a world economy. It's already challenging face-to-face connection, which is essential to the human experience. Um, so in that sense, progress can be bad. But on the other hand, I mean, look at it. Look at the way it manifests in, for example, the human experience. If you have a child, they're like I'm talking like a child, like a tiny thing, and they can't really speak. It may be cute and fun and exciting, and show you all the wonders of the world, youthful innocence, all that. And I mean, inevitably, it's going to die because that's the life cycle. And that progression may seem bad, but in that time, it's going to progress to an adolescent, which may seem bad because it begins to rebel, or it gets introduced to drugs, or it strays down a path its parents didn't want it to for any reason. Um, and that progression may be bad, but maybe from there, not even maybe from there it will learn and it will change, and the progress that it makes is what makes its life unique and what makes its life worth living. So while progression can be good or bad, I think it has to do with responsibility within the rate of progress. Because it is important in learning and growing and developing, much like changes. But if treated irresponsibly, the way technological progress has been, we look at a time, or we face a time when we're shut into our homes, and eventually, with the rise of technology, we let fall the ideas that we tie into nature and the natural world, our environment, and I mean, right now we're bleeding the earth dry completely as a civilization, to the point where we will be living in domes as soon as in like 50 to 100 years, because we're so focused on material prosperity, technology, the advancement of technology, which keeps us entertained, keeps us paying attention, and we're disregarding the more important progression, like Earth's progression from this luscious place into what's eventually going to be a barren wasteland. So again, progression can be good or bad. I think it is inherently good, but can be mistreated. For example, when technology began to advance, it was good because it gave us connectivity. It gave us an opportunity to grow as a civilization. But now we're using it as a resource for decadence, to just misuse completely. Let's see, mainstream. Huh, the mainstream. I think that people, much like change or even progress, will say that mainstream is bad. Might be some of these people have been marked as hipsters because they try to break from the trend, try to break from what they're seeing other people pursuing, which can be good because on some level it encourages free thought and critical thinking. On the other hand, it seems like a hopeless fight to say I am an individual, I am unique, when, as Tyler Durden so eloquently put it, we are the same decaying organic matter as the next person. Not actually unique, except I guess in the sense that we are all different people with different experiences going in different directions, but ultimately all the same thing. Inert uniformity, the theory of entropy. Entropy. Um, and yeah, I think the mainstream can be healthy. For example, in the old west, when medicine began to get introduced, it was it was not a mainstream thing, but obviously medicine is beneficial. Um, Now, and this actually ties back into progress. The DSM-5 is coming out in May of 2013. The DSM series is the basically a doctor's encyclopedia. It's compiled by a team of psychiatrists. It's basically all diagnoses for different disorders, illnesses, disabilities, things like that. Um, And so now we've gotten to a point where we're beginning to medicalize normality. For example, a child's creativity, a fast-paced and energetic child is very, like, exceptionally fast, unreasonably fast to be diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. Um, which, and you may disagree, I don't think is a real thing at all. I've seen documentaries, I've done the research. It seems that all of the symptoms are actually those exactly of a gifted child or of an inventive child, a child just growing and developing. But we're medicalizing normality, which is to say that totally normal things, we're saying this needs to be fixed, and we're changing it with prescriptions. So there's an example of how progress can be negative, and that is becoming mainstream. So it can be bad to follow the mainstream, because if the mainstream is going in a direction that's harmful, then and we blindly follow it, then what? I'm trying to think of the animals that just follow one another off the end of a cliff, just jumping to their death. Can't remember what it is right now. Oh, animals, okay. So that can be bad, but mainstream can also be healthy, because when people started getting cars, while cars are dangerous to the environment, it became mainstream, and as a society, as a civilization, we evolved into an advanced form of transportation, which was extremely beneficial to us, because it provided us better job opportunities, education opportunities, better opportunities to connect with one another. So often mainstream can be good, but it is important to bear in mind that it may not be, and to make sure you're sharp on your critical thinking skills. As for autumn, autumn comes at the end of the summer, and it's really nice. It's warm-ish in the beginning. Actually, it's really hot in the beginning, and then it gets warm, then it gets cool, then it gets cold. Actually, I think once it gets cold, it's probably already winter. Maybe. I'm not sure. But autumn is nice. The leaves are pretty. That's usually the time when new school years are starting, so people are, going through a transitional stage in their psyche, getting to know one another. So it's a beautiful time for lots of different things. Leads into winter, where everybody gets depressed from the lack of vitamin D from the sunlight. And that's all I have to say on autumn. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.